I'd like to learn together a Gemara Memamid Beis in Kedushim with the Chevra. There are many sugis in Shas. We could study about opportunity. The opportunity that always lies in front. Not to feel the opportunities past. People lament and woe unto what was missed. There's life, there's opportunity. There's life, there's opportunity. A yid to his dying breath, a yid's nifter about shuvah. They're literally stories of yidden who jumped to their death. I apologize to describe sad where people committed, trying to end their life. And their stories, it was found out they tried to save themselves. The last second they were swimming, and it was paskin la'alacha, you mechuyev to set shiva for a tzaddik. Because in the last second, the yid did shuvah and wanted to live and try to live. The maisim, it's no exaggeration. Yesh kainai lamai b'shachas. Opportunities are in front. Opportunities are in front. One of the most moving incidents is that I have many stories and things with my Rebbe that left an impression. My Rebbe was very worried about something that he was part of. He felt that maybe it was his fault and had a tremendous pain and changed his ways on something as he was wont to do. He always admitted he was very, if I would say harsh on self, probably the wrong words, but self-critical, honest with self would probably be a better way of expressing it. And my Rebbe had a regret on a story that happened that he took a responsibility. But to explain the story, I have to learn with the Gemara with you. And I want to learn this Gemara with me, more importantly than with you, because if I'm not there, then you won't either be there. I want to learn it with us. Let's be present to this Gemara. There's a sad side of things that I'm going to discuss, but today is a very happy day of second chances. I want to speak about opportunities in front of us. To really get it, all the opportunities are in front. So please let's study this Gemara. I'll tell you the story, and then we'll focus on the positive element that's relevant to all our lives. The Gemara in Kedushin Memamid Beis from Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, how beautiful is that? All of Klal Yisrael is thinking about Rabbi Kiva coming in a few days. Today's the 29th day of the Omer, 4 weeks and 1 day. In a very few days, on Lag BaOmer is the day that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai came to his Rebbe, Rabbi Kiva, and Klal Yisrael was forever impacted and changed and elevated from the day Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the great Tana, met his Rebbe, Rabbi Kiva. And here's a memra, how appropriate, from Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said as follows. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai Omer, Afilu tzaddik gomer kol yamav. If a person is a tzaddik all their lives, umarad ba'achraina, and in the last moment they rebel against Hashem. In the last moment, umarad ba'achraina, ibed asarishainos, they lose all the schar for their good deeds. Shenemar tzidkas hatzadik, the righteousness of the tzaddik, leisatzilenu b'yom pishay. On the day he's marad, pishay means rebellion. On the day he rebels against God, rebellious. Umarad b'achraina, he rebels against Hashem. Then all his tzidkus is wiped away. We're going to explain that in 1 minute. Now the statement, Vafilu Rasha Gomer Kol Yamav. If you have somebody who is a complete Rasha Gomer, not just a Rasha Gomer means mamish, rooted in evil all the days of his life. The man is 85 years old, was a Rasha Gomer, a complete Rasha, not like a Natiya towards Rishus. A Rasha Gomer Kol Yamav, 85 years of Rishus. V'asa tshuva b'achraina, in the last moment of their life, this beautiful yid does tshuva, ein maskirin lo'ishuv rishay, his evil is never mentioned again. It's not brought up, it never happened. Ein maskirin lo'rishay, they don't mention it to him. You know, it doesn't just say he has forgiveness, Sometimes you meichel a guy, but you tell a guy, I remember what, I'm the meichel you. I'm meichel for that story. I'm meichel you for the story, but I say I'm meichel you. Like, let it be registered. We had a little sichsuch. We had a fight, but I'm meichel you for the fight. That's a certain, that's a bemis mechil, I like you. But I remember the fight. On this person who was a Rasha Gomer Kol Yemei Chayev Avila. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said a person is a Rasha Gomer all the days of his life. 85 years, an evil man, 96 years, 120 years. And he does tshuva b'achreina, ein mazkirin lo shuv risha. It's never mentioned. Danny, it's not pshat like Hashem says, I know you sinned, you sure, whoa, stick save and a beauty, you got away with it. You did tshuva last, he goes to Shemayim, there's not a peep. It's not mentioned. He never did bad in his life. It's never mentioned. It's not brought up once. The guy, 96 years, was hurting people, hurting Talmidei Chachamim, mamish fighting God. Does tshuva on the last second. The mamish does a tshuva. Ein mazkirin lo risha. It's not mentioned. There's no mention in Shemayim. It's not spoken about. It's gone from the records. Ein mazkirin lo risha. Shenemar v'risha saresh lo yikashu b'yom shuvay. He doesn't stumble on it on the day he does tshuva risha. Frek the Gemara kasha. Frek the Gemara, a guy was a tzaddik his whole life. The first member of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said that afilu tzaddik gomer kol yamav. You have a man for 96 years was a tzaddik gomer. And he's married b'achreina, and the last minute he rebels against God. So he says that he's a Rasha. Ibid as he loses his schar. Frek the Gemara v'nahave kemechsa avaynis amechsa zchuyos. He should be 50-50. Very difficult question. The Sefer, the Tanya, is written on this Gemara. It's a very difficult, it's very deep, what the Gemara is saying. He was a tzaddik his whole life. The last second he rebels. Frek the Gemara, he should be 50-50. That's what I'm saying. If I was asking the Gemara Avila, I would say the guy has 96 years of tzidkus, and he rebelled at the end. So what do you mean, let him be 50-50? He's not 50-50. Let him still be a tzaddik. He has one bad minute. First haze that the Gemara is asking, he should be a Beinani. V'nahave, let him be kimechsa avaynis and mechsa zchuyis, 50-50.
50-50. What is rebelling? What is?
He was married. He rebelled against God. Not he slipped up. He denounced. He went against. We're not talking about he did a shoygig. He did even a mazid. He'd have an avera. Mered is not mazid. Mazid is on purpose. Let's say he had a big nisayon and he was weak for a minute. It's not what we're talking about. That's not mered. Mered is rebellious. He did it limroid. He did it to rebel. Oh, you're saying the answer, Yehuda. We don't know the answer yet. Don't be so smart. Knock it off.
Knock it off.
You'll get to Yehuda in a second. I'm proud of you. We'll get to that in a second. The Gemara's going to answer that in a second. But I want to get the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara's cash is a pella yud. What does the Gemara mean? Frek the Gemara, he should be 50-50. Yehuda Zelman, what does the Gemara mean? He should be 50-50. You have a guy who was at tzaddik 96 years. The last moment he rebels, and the Gemara says he loses all his schar. Frek the Gemara, he should be 50-50. V'nahave, let him be kemechsa avaynis and mechsa. Let him be called 50-50.
He means both aspects to him.
I love you.
Wow.
Says Eliyahu, and the Sefer Tanya is written on this question, and says Eliyahu, a tzaddik, we all have the space of our soul. We all have godliness in us, a soul that just wants Hashem. When we live in that space, a tzaddik only lives in that space. A Beinani could live in both spaces, the soul, and he ignores the soul. And he lives in both spaces. That's what it means, a Beinani. So frek the Gemara, if he had a mered, says dacha beinani. He lives in the space devoid of his soul, and he lives in the space of his soul. That's what it means. Mechzis 50-50. He had a moment. He went to there, so we go to there, and he goes here. So that's the beinani. He should be called the beinani. What's pshat? He's ibid as kol hazchuyos. He loses. What? In that space, one can even denounce Hashem in that space. But he's still, how can you counter that he had 96 years of living in a different space? So he's a Beinani, he lives in Beider. It's not, Beinani is not, when we say half Averis, half mitzvahs, we mean you live in both spaces. Das heißt the Beinani. The Tanya speaks about this at length. So he should be called the Beinani. Answers Yehuda Shvimmer, and the Gemara says, the Gemara, B'tayal Rishonis. If a guy regrets his good deeds, if you regret your good deeds, you lose it all. He wasn't just married, he lived in the bad space. He regretted a lifetime of good deeds. The guy's like, I shouldn't have done it. And Tayal Rishonis, he loses all the tzidkus. We're used to tshuva on bad things, on Avedis, and Emas Kirin Lai Rishai. This guy regretted all his good deeds. He loses his rishinus. He loses his first.
Wow.
My Rebbe was asked to spend, and he did this for others. He was a sophisticated person who lived the Haibin, who lived very elevated, and people asked him to be with a person on a number of occasions who was about to part to Ilam Abba. He was a person who lived a very lofty existence, and he was there many a time for a yid about to part from this world. And my Rebbe said something to somebody about to part, and the person said a line which my Rebbe was very scared, was like regretting his good deeds. The person wailed. My Rebbe had a lot of tsar, and for the rest of his life changed how he spoke to somebody on their deathbed. Because he felt something he said, and he took responsibility and was b'tzar for it. He had real tsar. He told the guy something which caused the guy to be tired, to regret. And my Rebbe had a lot of tsar from this story, and was very, very careful what to say to somebody in the last moments, that there should only be a sense of, I'm zufrieden, I'm happy the good that I accomplished. I'm happy. I'm focused on the good that I accomplished. I always like at the end of his man, always highlight the good that you did. Always very dangerous people, very dangerous attitude. It smells from Tayel Rishonis. Always, a yid is so careful. I'm happy each time I learned, each nice conversation, each shmeichel, each smile I gave another yid. And I always like, on Erev Rosh Hashanah, we're doing Ataras Nedarim, and a yid speaking out, he's regretting a neder. But he says, Ein ani toyeh chas v'shalom. I don't regret, God forbid, any good deed that I did. Because the Yid's trying to say, the rule is if you do a good thing and you don't say b'li neder, it becomes a vow. You might just do a nice zach. Before you take off your tefillin, you learn something. It might become a vow. What? It might become an haga taiva, good deed practiced repeatedly, could become like a commitment. And he doesn't want to make a vow. So we speak out that something I did, it wasn't b'li neder, I regret that it should be a neder. Now, ein ani tayeh chas v'shalom. I don't regret alamaisim tovim sha'asisid, on the good deeds that I did. Never. Only that I didn't say b'lush, it shouldn't be a neder. I didn't say b'li neder. I'm happy every good deed I did. I have seen many people regret good things they did. Never. The good things we did were shaykh to. I have seen people do things which are an echo of regretting good deeds. Chas v'shalom. Each good deed, each act. I have heard even people who learned Torah said, when I did it, I was to this. I don't regret good deeds. I'm shaykh to good deeds. Beseder, maybe I should have gone slower. I've seen people who even were too extreme for a little bit. And it wasn't comfortable. And of course, they're working. They're a process and a progress and working. Don't ever be taya on good things that were done. Ein ani taya chas v'shalom. On the toiv, I'm shayach to kol minei toiv. Beseder, I want to make a kinyan. I'm working and I have to do it in a manner that's comfortable. But never regret the good deeds that were done. Says the Gemara Kedushin Memamad Beis, if a person's tayal rishayna chas v'shalom, b'shas merit, in a moment of rebellion, they regret the good deeds they did, they lose the schar. But I'm not here on this Pesach Sheini to speak about tayal rishayna of good deeds. I'm here to say I'm the first member of Shem Bar Yochai, and I didn't come here either to teach you about tshuva. That's not what I want to say. Dubi, I'm not teaching about tshuva today. Tshuva we learned about in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Aseres Yimei Tshuva. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to say something else, Dubi. The guy's a Rosh Gomer Kol Yamav, and he has the last moment of his life, and he does tshuva. Says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, afilu Rosh Gomer Kol Yimei Chayev. Kol Yamav, the person was consistently a Rasha. And he does tshuva b'achreina, a maskirin loy shuv rishai. His rishas for all eternity is never said. Now you see tshuva, but I wanted to say to the chevra something different. I want to say, here's a guy sitting on his deathbed, and he looks at a life of mistakes. And in one moment, at that moment, the Yid says, I like God. And I wanted a life of God. I wished I served Hashem, and his entire existence. There's no mention of Averis. It's not tricks, Dubi. It's not like this There's not a world of fantasia. This is not Harry Potter. There's a world of emes. There's a world of Torah. And the person in one moment, and his sins are never mentioned for all eternity. Do you know what it says to me, Dubi? He was born for that moment. It says to me that a human being was Mekadesh Shem Shemaim, he was born. And I want to speak to the guys not about tshuva, but about opportunity. If a guy like that's sitting there and he's like, I blew it, I miss it. Imagine in the last second, instead of saying, I regret and I want you, Hashem. I want you, Hashem. And the rest for all eternity, a maskirin like Risha, his Risha is never mentioned. Imagine instead in that last second, he says, look at all my blown life. He should not be thinking about his blown life. He should be thinking about his ratzon to serve Hashem. Opportunity. I'm not learning about tshuva, though it's good to learn about tshuva. I'm learning today on Pesach Sheini of opportunity. That in that moment of life, there was opportunity, that he was born for that. To the point that he capitalizes on that. It's not even mentioned anything he ever did. His whole life was only a achana for that moment. Everything was but a achana. That's Pesach Sheini. Everything was but a achana for that moment. He missed it, he chose, he made a decision. But yet, there's a chance, there's an opportunity. Where there's life, there's a chance. I was Zeicha, that was surrounding my Rebbe with very beautiful Yidden. I was Zeicha to learn with an old Russian man. I call him Russian, a beautiful Yid. And he'd never learned in yeshiva and didn't know how to learn. And I was Zeicha to learn Gemara with him every Shabbos, the last period of his life. He was deathly ill, and he was about to go to Olam Haba, and I had the schos of learning Torah with this beautiful tzaddik. And I say he could have groaned about the missed opportunities of his past. What he didn't have, this Yid sat and learned Torah, B'Kedusha V'Torah, every Shabbos. We learned Torah together. The opportunity, second chance is what's here right now. He didn't say I'm old, what I didn't do, what he did do. What he did do, and we learned Torah, it's a Zaman. With Mr. Foreman and I was Zeicha, we learned Gemara together. He loved it. He loved it. It was music. It was candy to him. We'd learned Gemara. He'd asked me to teach him a Gemara. He couldn't read it well, but he tried to understand and understood, and he learned Torah. And I say to the Chevra on Pesach Sheini is opportunity. I literally mean it. The bus can come mamish here Sunday morning. A guy didn't speak at night because he was like shamed in his 3 years here. He didn't lift his head off the pillow. Yesh koinai lamai b'shachas. In 1 second he has like So Ratzain Toiv, so then his life was for that. Second chances, opportunities, it's all in front of us. It's all in front of a Yid. It's all in front of a Yid. That's what we think about Pesach Sheini. Rosh Gomer Kol Yemei Chayev. 96 years of Rosh Gomer, Nishkin Rosh of Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Yochai says, Asa Tshuva B'Achrayna. In 1 second, he has a rega of tshuva. The guy was a ganav. Who knows what the guy did? A Rosh Gomer. It's a pretty bad dude. And he's asa tshuva emas kirul. It's not mentioned. It's like so frustrating. The temptation in Shemayim. All his friends, I saw it. Quiet. Nobody says a word. I imagine people around, he's getting like all the schar in the world. They're not the guy, come on. Emas kirul lo'rishay. It's not mentioned. His whole life was for that moment. Opportunities there on front. The Yid views he has opportunities. He has opportunities in front. And all the squandered opportunities are but an impetus from Techapara in this moment. And if those squandered things bring the Yid to say, I want, and he's chaptarai, emas kirul lo'rishay, then there's no mention of anything. It's all in front of us. A Yid lives that opportunity, what's in front of him. That's how a Yid lives, what's in front. I want to do the tune, not the words, the tune. Can you start it? La